old music or something.
It should be live, like any second, if not now. On a new link, which I'm about to share everywhere. So if we copy that,
Okay.
I'll put it in the chat that's in here if people want to follow along at home.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. I see us. Yeah, actually, that's not that delayed. Is this OBS Studio, though?
This is OBS, and I've got ultra low latency switched on.
Okay.
I'll put it. So, hello everybody and welcome. How are you doing? It's almost like we planned this really, really well and have had zero technical issues. We'll just hang on for everybody to get joined in setup, and in a few minutes I'll start my usual spiel and kind of go from there. Really, seems, I think, touch wood, to be working.
Yay!
Happy days.
Excellent. Okay. Okay. Yeah, thank you all for coming. This is lovely. Yay!
Presumably etiquette is mute yourself for
Yes.
most of it, unmute to talk.
Oh, well.
Hey, Steve.
Has everybody got a beverage? Maybe got some pizza in the oven?
No, I'm good.
Well, that's absolutely fine. Whatever you want in your own home, you know.
He's not. He's in the middle of town square.
I am, yeah, right in the. It's summer.
No, that's Nottingham.
Just
That one.
creating the feeling of being at DevOps Knots with
Yeah, right.
some bottles from the fridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Mind you, it would have to be Coke or something along those lines.
It is. It's a big 2-litre bottle of Pepsi. Is what I've got to hand.
Oh, perfect then. Yeah.
So I do also have gin.
California. It's this one. You that one. California IPA.
Oh, good choice.
Yeah,
Good lad.
why not? Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it.
I do feel like I'm cheating. I'm at DevOps Knots drinking alcohol and using Azar's Zoom.
It's all right. I've changed my name. It did say that I was Azor Hussein for quite a while, but I'm not. I'm Misha.
Less bearded.
A little bit, yeah. Now that I've shaved. So.
You are working from home though. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
Shaving,
Yeah.
that's the point.
Sorry.
Shaving, that's the point.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I don't see a point. It's it's what society dictates, and I'm not going to conform to to those norms.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Don't.
Exactly. I think so. Yeah. Liam looks like he's concentrating. So
I
shall
am.
we talk
I
amongst
was
ourselves?
I was just sorting out, making sure everybody knows where the new YouTube link is.
Of course. Good. Thank you.
And I
Someone
think
should.
we're just waiting on Salman, and then we can get started.
He's not
Yeah.
in the waiting room or something, is he?
That's a good question because I've not had it open. No, he's not.
That's good then. But there are
Yeah.
16 other people there.
Yeah, there are. Yeah. I was just saying, it's great. Being the host, you have basically unlimited power.
Yes, you are God.
Yeah.
The God of Zoom.
Goddess.
Yes.
God. Well, yeah. Let's not make it obvious. It's just God. It's just a role. You can be a man or a woman.
Exactly.
Like actor. You can be a man.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. I like it. It's good. Yeah.
I see
Excellent.
Ollie. Ollie's turned his video on now. There he is.
Yay.
Ollie's
Hello.
awesome, by the way.
Oh, good. Hi,
Ollie is
awesome
the
Ollie.
author of something called Tabulator.
Yeah.
Tabulator.
one of the most downloaded packages you can get, as it happens.
Well, only for tables.
The tables, yeah.
What kinds of tables?
JavaScript tables. It builds JavaScript tables that do interactive and shiny things.
Interesting.
Ollie, are you losing your voice?
Yes, I've been talking all day. Home, I'm just in constant meetings.
Yeah, that does seem to be the norm now. I mean, work-wise, I've gotten into a place where essentially we are. We've worked out now that everybody's working normally. Everybody's quite happy doing those things, but it's now meant that people are trying to creep meetings into my lunchtime like they were when I was at the office previously.
Naughty.
Well, that's just sneaky.
But the good thing is you're at home, so you could just not answer.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, you say that like I didn't do that when I was in the office. So,
Yeah, but
and
they
they
could
could.
find you that way.
Well, this is it. They could see me, and I was like, no,
Not here.
no.
Ollie works for a company that do movie launches and things like that.
Cool.
Awesome technical stuff. He's been and spoke at Knots IoT before about some of the cool stuff that they've done in the past. It's pretty impressive.
We build crazy contraptions that let you ride dragons or star in your own film trailers or anything a marketing company can come up with. We turn into a physical thing.
Yeah,
Great fun.
pretty damn cool. Yeah.
Cool.
That is pretty cool.
You pretty much gave it away with Riding Dragons, about which film that was, of course.
Well, yeah, that was for dragons. We've just done one for the Bond film launch where you were doing a secret agent training school and then got to be in the Bond trailers. So that's now gone on hold. It rolled out in the UK and Australia, and then the virus hit. So that'll be taking back up again later in the year.
It was dead good. You put your hand on an iPad and it scanned your hand. It didn't really scan your hand, but it pretended to scan your
Looked like
hand.
it was.
Yeah, it did. It was dead good. And then took you through a whole secret agent experience. And I was involved in testing that. I wasn't writing anything for you this time on that one. But
No, you've done quite a bit for us, though.
yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Good. It is really cool, the stuff that they do there.
Nice.
Okay, so we are slowly getting there. Hani, have you managed to get hold of Salman at all?
No, I just texted him and called him. He's not picking up. But I was talking to him 10 minutes ago, so I hope he's okay. He just, 2 blocks far from here, so I'm just like, go knock his door, just like open.
That's done 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was about to say. Just go round to his house, and then no. Maybe don't.
Is it Corona time? No, I can't get out.
So, tell you what, we'll get started anyway, because
Sure.
what we're going to do is we'll have Colin go first, and then we can go from there, okay?
Sure.
I think now is as good a time as any to get started. Hello to everybody who is watching from YouTube. Hello to everybody who is here that I can see in front of me right now. Let's get underway and see if my OBS transitioning to other screens works.
Yeah.
So, again, welcome everybody to the first virtual DevOps Nuts. We are expecting pretty much, I'd say, from now until whenever really, at least for the next foreseeable events, to be running them virtually, both streamed to YouTube and having our open Zoom call. Let me just quickly switch to Zoom very quickly, because what I need to do is change a setting. So, as always, we would like to thank our sponsors, Rebel Recruitment, who have kindly provided this Zoom instance that we're running through here. Stickers for providing stickers, which we will be able to give to you when we can all be in person once again. And JetBrains for providing our license. Whilst we are running virtually, we will still be running the same giveaway that we usually do. and you can also listen to Misha and myself, as well as a handful of other great people from around the area on the Agile Engineering podcast. Episode 4 will be out soon, which coincidentally is one we've had to do remotely as well. But you can listen to the subject. Talk about subjects like product ownership, DevOps as a job title, and I really can't remember what we did for the first episode already, because it was all the way back in January. But we'd also talk about stuff and things, which is also positive.
And they're very great.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
Giveaways. So, as always, like I say, we've got our JetBrains CD key, not CD key, well, that's not a thing anymore, product key giveaway. Just tweet to us at DevOpsNuts with the hashtag, or just with the hashtag DevOpsNuts, and we'll pick a winner at the end for that key.
Yeah.
As always, we are looking for speakers. Right now, we're looking for speakers from July onwards to the end of the year. Upcoming in the next couple of months, we've got David McKay, we've got Gene Kim, we've got Ross Schonfeld as well coming to speak, as well as a whole host of other people over the next couple of months. But if you're interested in speaking, and hopefully you are, especially in terms of giving a remote speaking a go, just like some of our speakers this evening who are doing it for the first time, just get in touch with us either on Twitter or send us an email at contact@devopsnots.co.uk.
Also, it might be worth mentioning, if there's anybody that you know that would like to do that you think would a talk would be relevant at DevOps Nots, but they wouldn't have. They might have had difficulties physically getting here because we're running it virtually now. Maybe drop them a line, or kind of put us in touch with them, and hopefully we can get some people from further afield to do a talk as well.
This brings us almost nicely into our usual recruitment segment. Usual recruitment section of our meetup. Misha, would you like to talk about any recruitment type things this evening?
During the current pandemic, recruitment has taken quite a nosedive. So I'm not recruiting for all that much, but I'm recruiting for some things. They would be Java developers and tester and a PHP developer and some C# developers. So if any of you are those and would like a job, a permanent one, then please do contact me. And similarly, if any of you are recruiting, then please do get in touch with me, because I have significantly less work to do. But yes, I'll open it up to the floor if anybody is actually still recruiting.
Yeah, if you are in Zoom and want to do that, I think you have like a little raise hand button, maybe, or at least you can unmute yourself currently to be able to do so. Cool. Okay. So
That'd be a hard no.
That is a firm no. That's great.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So tonight we have 3 speakers for you. Two talks with 3 speakers. We've got Salman and Hani giving a talk on getting started with Azure DevOps and security, and Colin Powers coming to talk to us about Walls Don't Work. What we'll do this evening in terms of running things is it's not in the order that is on the slide. But what we do have is we've got a little break in a little while for everybody to go and top up brews, get various other alcohol, and continue. So, but we'll have a bit of time for questions at the end of each talk. Feel free to submit them in the chat on YouTube, or as time goes along in the chat in Zoom, or you can ask your questions in a more of a live fashion at the end of each one. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Colin.
Hello, everyone. Probably best to check first of all, can everyone see and hear me? If you can shout out in the chat if you can't, or if you can, I want to know either way.
Yes, we can.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right, and I should also be about to share a presentation, which I hope everyone can see.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So, who the hell am I? Probably a good place to start. My name's Colin. I'm a senior software team lead for GeoSlam based in Ruddington. My career history is thought leadership. Well, if you've looked up my Twitter in the last bit of time before this presentation, you'll have seen these sorts of prolific thoughts that come out of my mind. And I can tell you, charisma-wise, that last year I'm proud to be the #1 buyer of first-class stamps in my area. So that's a bit of a warm-up for what's to come. That is the best part of this presentation, so if you didn't enjoy that, it's all downhill from here. Really though, so I might not be a DevOps expert, but I do try, and everyone's heard of it. And I understand that it is sort of a cultural shift, sort of taking these two tribes that have been at war for centuries and moving them together into one sort of harmonious super team. So maybe I do know something about that, because I've hopped departments a few times and I've seen things from different angles, and I've tried to dig into and resolve these sort of tribes at war situations within companies. And maybe after all, I've got some experience there that might be useful to you guys, or at least a little bit interesting. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little story from when I first started my technical consultant role, how I recognized two tribes at war situation, why that was the situation, how we fixed it. We'll sort of take those lessons and see how they might apply to you and your business, and how you can use those lessons to maybe make things better. Quick wrap up and questions. So to set the scene, fresh graduate out of uni, went to this company as a developer, did that for about 7 or so years. And then they asked me to shift roles. The idea was they wanted me to sort of become management eventually. And in order to set the groundwork for that, they wanted me to move into this pre-sales type role, a sort of 50% pre-sales technical sort of guy, and 50% going to customer sites with the solution, setting it up for them, kind of like the Virgin man that comes to your house to set up your router, but a lot more complicated, a mix of those two things. So having been a developer 7 years, I did this role, and I finally got my first real end-to-end experience with the entire sales process, having only been sort of caught fleeting glances of it in passing before. And it was quite a shock to the system. And turns out that my developer experience was actually really crucial to help fix it. What's the sales process? So at a high level, the sales process is this: you figure out what the customer wants. If there's dev work required to give that to them, then you go and talk to the devs and you get some estimates. How much effort is that? You use that to negotiate the price and the timeline with the customer, and then you sign and you sell it, and everything's fine. What could possibly go wrong? And the people that did this, so the people involved in this process, there was one salesperson per opportunity, one technical pre-sales person, that's me. You might talk to some devs if you think there's some dev effort required. And then you put together some sort of business case, and someone on the board reads it and signs it off. Here's how it all went wrong. So things that could happen under this process did frequently cause us all bad days. So you didn't ask devs if there was dev effort required. You only asked them if you thought dev effort was required. So if you got it wrong, you're stuffed. We'd get estimates from the devs, say 20 days of effort, and then there was nothing to stop us going back to the customer and saying, yeah, you can have this in 20 working days. But everyone's on holiday, or they've got some other thing going on. They can't actually start this work for some length of time. Or we could say, oh, well, they just want something straight off the shelf. That's fine. But it's on Solaris. And now we've got to try and find the only Solaris box in the office, in the corner, in the cupboard, and try and bring it back to life so we can support this bloody thing. Now we've got to find someone that kind of knows something about Solaris, was willing to learn about Solaris so they can support it. And this isn't starting to look so good anymore. Suddenly we can't meet the deadline because there's dev effort we didn't expect, and we can't even start that dev effort for another few weeks. We're not even sure we can deliver this at all because we didn't even know what that dev effort was, what that requirement was that we couldn't meet. Because there's more effort than expected, we're probably going to lose money. And after we've lost that money, we've got to support it on an antiquated system. Oh shit. So despite being a perfectly sound common sense process, we can sell stuff that doesn't exist. We can sell stuff assuming that effort equals schedule, which is not true. We can sell stuff without figuring out if it's actually worth selling. And it turns out that the reason for this is pretty simple. We just didn't talk to the right people at the right times. Does something exist? Can it be made to exist? You need to ask the developer. Will it make more money? Well, you need to figure out your development costs. You also need to figure out your support costs. Can we meet the deadline? Well, you've got to talk to a manager about that, really. You've got to talk to someone who knows the schedule. It's not just about the estimated effort. You've got to talk to the right person there. Who's going on holiday? What other projects are going on? This is the sort of knowledge you need. So how I fixed it. So every department, every business, I should say, has one of these. It's something like a business case form, and it will have some detail of, we want to sell this thing. Here's who we're going to sell it to. Here's what it is. Here's how much money we're going to make. You give it to the big boss, and the big boss signs it off. Quite a simple solution. There's something missing. What you need to do is just figure out who you need to run this by and try and get them to sign off on it. If someone's on holiday, it doesn't stop the whole thing. You just need them to look at it if they're there. If they're not there, write some words about, oh, this person's on holiday, but we think this is low risk because blah, blah, blah. Just give that list of endorsements to the big boss, just so they realize who has and hasn't seen this and who might need to have seen it, just so we make an informed decision. And once I managed to come up with that and convince enough people to use it, I didn't have that problem again in the remainder of my time at the company. Just to reiterate, that process before that was in place. I think the company had been, 20 odd years with the broken process, constantly causing problems. And it was immediately obvious to, I'm not a genius, any developer would have seen that. It was immediately obvious to me, having gone in there, that there was a problem. So what can we learn from that? How can you learn from that? How can we help other businesses? That's one example of something that was causing no end of trouble. Extremely simple fix, nothing complicated about it. All you've got to do is identify the right people who need to be in the loop. But working practice for absolutely ages. And you don't need a genius to figure it out. You just need the right person, the right role. You need just a little bit broader scope of eyes on that. And when I experienced this, I kind of started thinking, well, this isn't rocket science, but if that can be in place for that long, it can't be the only thing. Where else is there a problem like this? What other areas of the business would have this sort of problem? And I kind of started to realize that it turns out this is all over the place. Everyone sucks at comms. I've worked in a few different companies in my career. I have never been in a company that absolutely nails comms. Well, if this was a physical meetup, I'd ask for hands. Hopefully we'd see some people who sympathize with this. But yeah, I've been in teams that communicate really well. I've been in departments that work really well together. I've even been in a few situations where particular pairs of departments worked really brilliantly. But I've never been somewhere that absolutely nailed it, top to bottom, left to right, whole company wide, everyone's communicating. No one ever says the phrase, why wasn't I told? I've never been there. If you have been there, talk to me after, because I'm interested. And after I realized this, I sort of started to go a bit mad, and I started producing matrices like this, figuring out what departments talk to which and how, and I started highlighting ones in red that should have, and then I gave up because I realized I was just this meme and I was going a bit off the deep end. So I don't recommend doing that. That is not the solution here, although I'm kind of glad I did it because it helped me to find the next step. And it got me thinking, comms. Most of the big business problems that I've seen in all the departments I've worked in, from all the different angles, they've all been comms, and they've all been just us not getting it right. Moreover, if I think about it, every time I've left a job, it's been due to poor comms. There's a pattern. I've gone back and I've figured it out. Every job I've ever had, I join, I fix stuff. And then I sort of reach the limits of my remit. So then I sort of reach out to other departments and I fix some of the stuff that isn't in my remit with a collaborative effort with others. And then I reach the limits of my power and influence and I can no longer solve problems. I can't solve the things that are making my day a bit crap. So I get a new job with more power and influence. And that's been just a repeating cycle. I can't be the only one doing this, guys. If you don't solve these problems, you're going to lose good people. And it's stupid because all these problems that can have such a profound business impact that can be in place for years, it's just because of the 5-minute meeting you haven't arranged yet. All you need to do is figure out what's that meeting, who needs to be in it, what's the agenda, make it happen. If you can just do that, so many of these problems go away. It's such a simple solution. It's not a bunch of red tape. It's not going to make your life a bureaucratic hell. You just need to get the right people in the room at the right time. And the problem is that the longer you don't have those meetings that you should be having, the worse this gets, because that lack of comms leads to this us and them mentality. I know some of you must have been here, right? Different teams and departments start to resent each other. The sales guys hate the devs, hate the support guys, hate the management, whatever. And when that happens, you find that people develop this sort of siege mentality, and your leaders aren't doing leading anymore. They're sort of building this wall, trying to protect their guys, trying to protect their part of the system so that they don't get screwed over by someone else making some decision that affects them. And it doesn't work. So the phrase wars don't work is politically charged. That's not what we're here for today, whatever your politics. I hope we can all agree that everyone within one company is on the same team, and it would probably be a pretty shitty idea to build a wall through the middle of your house, and the same principle applies here. It doesn't work. It's broken. It's a broken system. If you're infighting in a company, you need to all be on the same page. You need to find a way to work together. So again, I was going to do a show of hands here, but you must have heard some of these before. You must have heard the devs saying these support guys are constantly bugging us with their stupid questions. It's in the documentation. Why don't they read it? Why do they come straight to us? And then the support guys go, they're just lazy. They can't be bothered to help. We've got 1,000 cases to get through. We can't be reading all these documents, trying to find a needle in a haystack every time. We've got to be quicker to get through. Otherwise, we're going to be snowed under. It's not working. We need some help. Why won't they listen? Same thing with sales. They sell the thing, they get their commission, they drive off in the sports car. They don't care that they've just sold a time machine that we can't possibly build. And at the same time, we get the sales guy saying, well, the devs always say no. If it was their way, we'd never sell anything. We'd all be bankrupt. We've got to take some risks sometime. And you can get it with management as well. Management saying they make trouble. Any presentation we come up with, any plan, they're cynics. They just shoot it full of holes. They don't want to get on board and give things a try. And the staff saying they don't listen. They just shoot us down when we raise concerns. All this sort of friction, so common, super common in every company. I am absolutely confident that if we were all in the same room, I'd have a lot of hands who have experienced things like that. So, key bit, how do we fix this? So I've got good news and I've got bad news, guys, because the bad news is I cannot fix this for you. And the reason I cannot fix this is because the answer is to build a culture. There is no magic bullet for this. There is nothing that will work for absolutely everyone in absolutely every company. There is no magic formula. You can't just build a high trust culture like that. It's an art, it's not a science. But what I can tell you is how to make things a bit better, how to progress. If I had got the magic answer to this, I wouldn't have job hopped trying to fix it. But everywhere I've been, I've left it better than I've found it. And I hope that you can do the same following this talk. So 4 steps, we'll go into detail because these are very floaty without a bit more detail. So the culture starts with you. The first thing you've got to do is be the change you want to see in the world. More on that in a minute. It's better to define what that worthless sentence means. Then you convince your allies to join the cause. You spread that culture a bit. You demonstrate that it works. You demonstrate that it's something that should be adopted by elsewhere in the business. And here's the hard part. You then need to convince the people that aren't your guys to join the party. And that's the key thing. And then, honestly, you just got to sort of hope and pray at the end. What does all that mean? So don't fall into the trap. That's the key part of this first step. If you're a leader, I think everyone's got something to contribute here, but whatever you do, don't fall into the trap. Don't be that guy saying, those bloody guys in that department, they're always ruining our day. Try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Try to assume the best of everyone. Try to think, well, maybe they're busy, maybe they're under a lot of pressure. You know, there's probably a reason why they are making your day worse, and it probably makes perfect sense if you know things from their view. So no throwing people on the bus, no tribes at war. Try and remember that you're all on the same team. Only by doing this are you going to win any friends and spread any culture, because when you start to say things like, our lives would be easier if you changed this, it needs to be interpreted as this will fix the system, and not you're an idiot and you're doing it wrong. Otherwise, you're not going to have any luck convincing anyone anything. So once you've got out of that nasty habit, try and get the whole team on board. You need to get this blameless culture going. In agile and sort of dev environments, this is fairly common as it is. So what I like to do, I have a regular meeting called the improvement group for my department. We meet once a month, but whatever works for you. And everyone at the department should have a representative at that meeting. So we have team leads, we have the most senior testers and the most senior sort of ops focused people all getting together. And we basically do sort of a Kanban thing. So you start with your pain. You can get your pain from retrospectives or squad health checks if you're doing them. If not, you can just have a suggestion box. Why does my life suck? And you just need to make sure that you action stuff. Start with the low-hanging fruit, assign people to it, figure out what those actions are. The aim here is to show that this culture works, that you can do this sort of blameless thing, and that you can action these problems and not just be a bitch fest, basically actually making a difference, not just moan and feel better, but we made this better now. That problem has gone away. Think of what else we could do for the wider business. Get that trust on your team. And this is the kicking sort of point, the hard part. And you basically do that entire framework again, but for everyone in the business. So leaders from each department rather than leaders from within your department. Problem here is you've got to convince them to go along with it. If you can just convince people to get in the same room, that is a massive step, because suddenly the people behind that wall are humans, and they're not just those guys. You know, wars have started because of those guys on the other side of the wall, right? This is real, psychological stuff that's been proven. Just getting in the same room is a massive big step. And the aim is to stop being sort of enemies and sort of ghosts on the other side of the wall, but to start actually empathizing, sympathizing, becoming friends even. That would be wonderful. And the key thing here, as before, but particularly now, because you're talking to people that are basically strangers at this point, it's got to be abundantly clear this is not a blame game. You are not here to throw each other under the bus, nor is this a moan fest. You are not here just to sort of bitch and go home feeling better that you got it out of your system. You've got to fix stuff. Start with the low-hanging fruit. There's always one or two things when you first start this up that are so easy. We've talked already about how some of these things can be so easy to fix. Start with the stuff where you think you can make a real difference, the well-defined stuff that's pretty clear, pretty easy to do. Lead by example. People will initially be nervous, saying, what could you do better? Basically, they're not going to want to reveal their weaknesses. They're going to feel threatened. So start with you, start saying, look, you're right. We could do that better. Ask for other people to say, how can development help you, or whatever department you're in? Lead by that example. Do all that and you'll make some progress. But your mileage will vary, and this is why I can't solve all your problems today. Because I don't know the sorts of people who are in your company. Every company has various sorts of people in different numbers. there are some people who will get this, who maybe have worked agile in development for ages. They're totally cool with the blameless culture. They'll hop on board. Others won't have seen it before. Maybe it's counterintuitive. Maybe they're a bit cynical. It's going to take them a long time to see that value. You've got to sort of convince them to go along with it for a little while until maybe they start to see the green shoots coming through. There'll be some people who worked in, I don't know, banking or, God forbid, politics or something like that, where this is all completely alien. They're from some sort of horrendous dog-eat-dog, cutthroat, backstabby, cloak and dagger, awful office politics business, where the slightest sign of weakness and you'd get fired to be like an example to the rest of the guys or something. Those guys are going to need a lot of help. They're going to need a lot of patience. Just don't fall into that trap. Please, God, don't fall into that trap of saying, screw those guys in that department. Just give people as much rope as you can possibly give them. There are, of course, people who are just twats, but in my experience, they are few and far between. I can't promise you that everyone is just misunderstood and you need to see things from their point of view. Some people are useless. Some people seem to be just malicious, but they are very, very few. So please try to think that of someone only as a last resort after giving people a hell of a good amount of sort of rope to prove themselves. So, what have we discussed today? Problems in businesses are all over the place in those little cracks between the departments, those little pipes that aren't quite sealed and leak out. These are often very simple problems, very easy to see, very easy to fix when you start to look at it. But because they live in that space between those departments, there's no single owner for those. They sort of just grow and go moldy, and it's horrible. And nobody can really fix them because you actually need a collaborative effort to do that. You can only fix those problems with collaboration. And in order for that collaboration to happen, you need to be friends with the other guys on the other side of that wall. So break the wall down, man. Building that trusting culture, it is really hard. That's the hard part. The problems themselves are easy. Getting everyone on the same team, that's the hard part. The level you are at in the management of your corporation will affect the amount you can do here. Unless you're absolutely powerful, you probably can't just make everyone do this. But that doesn't mean you don't have a part to play, because everyone can do this. And I think you need to manage in all directions, downwards, upwards, sideways. You kind of need people to want to come with you on this journey. You can't mandate it. So regardless of what your role is, you have something to do here. You're going to have to do the hearts and minds thing, guys. It's not easy, but it is the thing that works. And somewhere in there's a holy grail. Maybe one day I'll find it. Maybe there's some mythical culture that's kind of DevOps, but plus all the other departments in a business. I'm not sure what they'll call that. Maybe it is just DevOps. But yeah, the closer you can get to that, the happier you'll be. And I can tell you now, I've been progressing this in various businesses over the last God knows how many years now, and I'm so much happier than I've ever been before, because every step you get through this is another horrible barrier removed, and you're sort of in control of your own destiny, and you can come to work happy, guys. You can live the dream. So DevOps is successful because it recognizes this. It recognizes that there was a rift between two groups. And if you removed that rift and you got those two groups together, you could yield amazing returns. So it's quite simple. Two groups of people, what they do affects what happens to them, and vice versa. All they need to do is talk and be in sync. And it's pretty simple on the face of it, just hard to make it happen. And the truth is that that same principle applies to pretty much any two departments in a business to some extent or other. Obviously, I don't know, development don't particularly care maybe what finance are doing, but there's always some link or other to some extent, some more than others, sales and dev and support, whatever else. These guys all need to talk. And if you solve these problems, it's just night and day. I can't tell you the difference in my mental well-being, the mental well-being of people I'm working with, when this either is happening or isn't happening. Okay, like people will drink, people will get fat. if this isn't happening, and you will lose money. More importantly, to the people that own the business, I suspect, you will make a lot more money if you solve these problems, because you're shooting yourself in the foot like regularly, like all the time, because poor decisions are being made because you're not talking to the right people. So just to reiterate, you're on the same team. Stop blaming people in other departments. You're in the same company. There's no point having rifts and walls and whatever else within the same company. You've got to build the bridges. It's a bit airy-fairy, it's a bit hippie, but that is what's going to work here. The problem is making it happen. Hopefully, I've given you some framework that can help you do that today. And I'm not sure what format we're going to take questions in, guys, but now is the time.
That was excellent. I really enjoyed that. Can we clap? Oh, can I unmute all? Yay!
Hold on, guys.
That was excellent. I'm gonna thank you all now. Well, 3, 2, 1. Mute all. Oh no, I probably shouldn't mute all. You all mute yourselves, please.
Well, you should be able to mute everybody, and now everybody's got the ability to unmute themselves again now.
20 times diluted it.
Yeah. Very much. So they say
you could barely sniff the chlorine.
not at all.
Right.
I don't know whose mic that was, but that was quite
No
funny.
idea.
I'll sort that out. I mean, I can do Q&A now, but I'll also be obviously on the chat in the Zoom and the YouTube. So if you want to ask me questions there throughout the course of the evening, I can do that too.
Yeah, well, we can pick those up shortly after. Just checking that I've unmuted myself, which is good. So let's take a quick 5 minutes for everybody to top up drinks, be it hot, alcoholic, or otherwise. Chat amongst yourselves for a second, and we'll get set up with Hani and Salman. Salman's on his way. He's just had to restart his machine, so he's coming. So,
Is it powered by Steam?
yeah.
If I mute everybody once, can you then unmute yourselves, or do I have to?
At the moment,
Sorry.
it's set so that people can unmute individually.
Okay, good.
Just
Okay,
tick box.
sorry, I've never been a host before
There's a tick
in
box.
this capacity. Huh?
There's a tick box. When you press mute all, it'll ask you, there's a little tick box that says allow participants to unmute themselves. It depends on tick there.
Excellent, thank you.
Somebody's just raised in the YouTube chat, by the way. There's a little reactions thing, so we could just use claps there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Although nowhere near as good as physical clapping.
No, that's true.
Unless
Yeah.
people with headphones on.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that, Colin. Thank you very much. That was really useful, and not
Yeah.
just for like dev, but like for my industry and every industry really. I've always said that communication, like poor communication, is basically the devil, and that is the thing that gets in most people's way. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You make a really good point of that in the Unicorn project, in the ticketing system that they have to go through for everything that they want to do.
I
And
don't know that.
oh, shush!
Alexa.
Yeah, shut the hell up! Sorry, I can't do that. But yeah, you're partway. Is at the Phoenix project? You're partway through, Colin. Did you say, rather than Unicorn project? I don't know. But,
Yes. I've read the Phoenix project.
yes.
And
I
there
need
we
to go
go.
back and read that.
Near the end.
Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to going back and reading that, because I think it's like a prequel, essentially. Well, it's not. I'm reading the sequel, but for me, it will be a prequel.
I left the
I can't
Unicorn
say
project at work.
Timeline. It's weird.
Get a Kindle version. I mean, I
That's
like
true.
Louise probably have 4 or 5 different formats of the same book for this. Like
I got
I've
this
listened
in
to-
physical so I could sort of thrust it under people's noses at work
Yeah.
when that used to be a thing you could do in the world.
Yeah, remember when we could touch physical objects out in the wide world and share them with other people?
Yeah, I mean, that was always going to be a disappointment with not having the real Gene Kim come to your meetup. So obviously, you would have been quite happy to get him to sign your books. Maybe you could persuade him to sign one and send it.
I'll ask really, really nicely.
Yes.
But yeah. But for the folks at home and the folks here, by the way, though we're all at home, I hope. Gene will be coming. He'll be presenting in May. At whenever the last Tuesday in May is. So that's what, the 26th.
Oh, was hoping it'd be the 24th, and then it could be like, May the 24th be with you. It's not the same. Anyway, yes, May the 26th.
Yes.
Gene Kim. Sorry, I'm not really adding anything else.
Right.
Okay, so Salman is on his way. He was just having a little bit of trouble to joining the meeting, but he will be here in seconds, in theory, providing nothing else goes wrong.
Excellent. Is it kind of blurry on the YouTube feed for everybody else? Because on mine it's quite blurry.
All right for me.
Just Salman just texted me. He said room is locked. He can't get in.
It's unlocked now.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Great.
Why is one person called FBI surveillance?
Yeah.
I'm gonna not admit that person.
For now, I would not admit anybody who isn't Sam.
Yeah, it's better because there's a lot of bots trying to use the link and join.
Is that what that is?
Well, I wanted to say something, but I was like, it might just scare everyone. There's a lot of vulnerabilities released for Zoom at the moment, and there's a lot of bots working on Zoom because everyone moved to Zoom recently.
Yeah.
And keep it in log for now, and let people watch from YouTube is the best solution for now.
I'm writing a blog post at the moment on how to run a safe Zoom meeting. And one of the things is to not give your password out or the link to the meeting.
Yeah, especially the link is really vulnerable. So if you send a new link, bots can use that in a second. Like,
I try to find a link to there was a guy did it on LinkedIn, and it was things like locking it, don't do a password, do a background so that you don't give away any personal information, stuff like that, and locking it and stuff. Yeah. So.
And there's another thing that they released recently is a 0-day vulnerabilities that are on Zoom, but we're not aware of it. And that's another thing that's just quite scary because hackers can use that in a second and just trying to access to anything they want. So we can't just stop using Zoom, but at the same time having this security or not sharing links, blur the background, everything that everyone said is something that we should all be aware from now on. Any other workshop that we do in the future.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. I just don't understand why anyone would want to do that, really. But it takes all sorts.
Yes.
So,
really bad example.
Lockdown.
Fair enough.
Yeah, internet is quite a scary place to be. Most people see it as a heaven with all these beautiful things, but at the same time, it's quite scary when it goes to security side of it and attackers and stuff.
Well, luckily, that's a nice segue. We're going to learn all about security and DevOps.
In just a moment.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Maybe it was just a test.
I mean, probably one of the things I generally wouldn't do. Now, yes, we may have made a minor mistake in opening it up to the world in this occasion. But what are the top things I wouldn't do is run my cabinet meeting over Zoom and then take a picture of it and tweet it with the Zoom meeting ID in.
Exactly.
Did they?
They did,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I wish I'd known. Lining up all sorts to get thrown in there.
Fantastic.
We fired it up for Pictionary the other day. It's got a really good whiteboard functionality in it.
Really?
Yeah, when you go to share your screen, you've got the option to choose a whiteboard, and you've got all sorts of colours and thicknesses of pens, so good for a bit of at-home Pictionary.
That's
my
fantastic.
God!
That's a great idea.
I didn't even know. Legend. Right, I'm on that.
Yeah.
We were trying to think of different games to do in our company because we basically just have a Zoom chat open all day long.
Yeah. Oh, well, that'll do it.
Yeah. And yeah, so we thought about different games that we could play, but it was quite impromptu. And yeah, somebody suggested Pictionary. I was like, but how can you actually logistically do Pictionary? Like, you would have to. It would just be all kinds of. That's brilliant. Oh, thank you for telling me that.
You're welcome.
I'll look for it.
There's we've been looking like with a bunch of group of friends and people at work at the Jackbox Party Pack as well. And so it just stream. So it's like a set of games with like multiplayer games that you can do. Like there's, I can't remember half of the games now, but it's like this bomb defusal puzzle and all sorts, and you can join it with your phone. And then we were just going to stream the sort of main Jackbox shared screen somewhere, and then like there's quizzes and stuff like that.
That's really cool. Can you send that to me, please?
I can.
Oh, thanks.
Was that the staying in? There's the staying in and what's that, house party?
Oh, I've heard of House Party.
Yeah.
There's stuff happening with House Party at the moment where people say they're getting charged. But it says, well, it's by the people that make Epic Games who give away like 2 or 3 games every week or something. But you can't imagine that they'd be as unscrupulous as that.
No. They've apparently they've put up a £1 million, $1 million reward to somebody if they can prove that they were breached, because that's what they think, they were breached. So they've kind of said, there we go. There's $1 million if you can prove we were breached.
Wow. Who owns Epic Games then? That's got £1 million they can give away to somebody.
Yeah.
Well, I think Epic Games itself, like they make all the money from Fortnite these days.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my kids are on it constantly.
Right. You mean you are?
Point out, however, that
I have to join on, Pete.
it's
You know.
simply a big WebEx where people shoot each other. Now I kind of want to do my meetings at work slightly differently.
Yeah.
As long as you've got less than 100 attendees.
Game meetings in Fortnite.
Yeah, running about shooting each other. Okay, right, that's you finished, boom.
That's a stupid suggestion. Get out.
Superb. Oh gosh.
Okay. Right, so just a couple of other technical bits that we need to sort out to get Salman and Hani up and running together, and then we can crack on. Also, we need to take a moment to appreciate that Pete's background has been various intros to different sci-fi shows throughout the meetup so far.
Yeah, well done.
Like, it didn't start as Babylon 5. I'm pretty sure it was...
It was definitely Picard to
Picard,
start
yeah.
with.
Very impressive. There's dedication to the bit.
Oh, there's someone else on with you, Ian. Unless
That's
that's
my
just
wife.
part of the, you know,
She's saying,
I'm just
she's,
trying to see
screen.
which one was you, see which was your background.
yeah,
Cool.
she's being nosy.
I quite like it. It looks like she's part of the background, though, like an
she did,
interactive
yeah.
part of the background. I thought you were trying to, like, compete with Pete. Compete! Oh!
Yeah, I'm trying to I'll get her going past like dancing and things like that. I've got a real crazy video.
That is some next level graphics.
Yeah, she is really good. Where'd you get that? Oh gosh, I made it up on the fly.
Yeah, just it came like that, and I did all that work.
Oh, superb. Yeah. She had my daughter as a bit of fun. Like, they had my daughter, who's a little tiny girl, and put her inside her big jogging trousers. So like, my daughter was like covered up to her neck in these trousers, so it just looked like she had a big pair of legs.
Legs up to her armpits.
Yeah, and I'm in a meeting, and in the background, all you can see is them going with these pair of trousers like that. I'm trying to be serious here. Come on.
Oh,
nightmare, but yeah, the joys of being at home. You know how that poor guy who was like,
Yeah,
the
I know
poor guy's
exactly what you
wife
mean.
diving in, trying to grab the children. Yeah, now you know how he feels.
They did a follow up with him recently, where he got all of the family on. Yeah,
Superb.
yeah. I have to see if I can find it. But yeah,
Misha,
Yeah.
can you make Salman a co-host, please?
Yeah, I did as soon as he joined.
I
thought-
He's not.
Okay, gears a sec. Yes, I will. There you go. I bestow upon to you, Salman, co-hostership.
Misha,
Yo.
Can you right-click on somebody to show that menu and then take a screenshot? I did send you a message in chat, but I don't think you're looking at your chat.
Right click on.
So, you know, I made them a co-host there a second ago. I just want to have a picture of that menu.
For Pete's blog post is what he's after.
Yep. I meant to do it last night, but I've completely forgot, so it'd be quite handy.
I don't fully understand, but yes. Yes?
You're not filling me with confidence, Misha.
I don't feel many people with confidence, it's fine. There we go.
So one of the so as we just go into this next thing, just want to quickly remind people about our competition, which is somewhere. Come on. I've gone too far. There we go. So if you're interested in winning a JetBrains license and so on this evening, just tweet the just tweet the hashtag DevOpsNots, and we'll do a draw at the end of the evening.
Cool.
Hani and Salman, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, but just wait for
yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Sorry about the delay. I thought it was scheduled for 7:45, so I was I also had some internet issues. So sorry about that.
Not a problem. It happens.
Here now.
Yes.
Better late than never.
Yes.
So, without further ado, can we give as big a DevOps Nuts welcome as possible for Salman and Hani and their talk on getting started with DevOps, Azure DevOps and security.
We'll do that one. What is this one? Is it so kind of crazy?
Oh yeah.
That one. There we are.
The silent. Yay!
Yeah, silent clap. Yeah.
Or you can use your reactions.
Or we could just unmute.
Actually, has Salman just ended up dropping off?
I think the YouTube is stopped working as well.
Yeah, give me just a
we
moment.
didn't clap well enough.
That was the problem, yeah.
There's a clap higher. Faster.
Let me. It seems that YouTube is the window capture. When I switch between scenes. Basically, the problem is I've tried to get too fancy. That's what's happened here.
Oh, Liam. Always with the fancy.
Way too fancy. In fact, it's not seeing Zoom at all right now, which is a concern.
Maybe it should look harder.
Yes, it should. Press the button harder.
Right.
I saw that, Colin.
I like that. There should be a button for that.
Thanks. Chris, where is your background of?
Sorry, guys. Watching at home at the moment with YouTube. It seems that Zoom is having a couple of problems when it comes to go through OBS.
Salman is waiting behind the door.
Oh,
He's waiting. He's admitting.
Can't see him.
I need to unlock the thing again.
Yeah.
Oh.
He can't get in.
Oh no.
Yeah.
He is out there now.
Get him to try and join again.
There we go.
Yeah, he's here. Yeah, great.
No host of shit.
I wish there was a way that you can just log in through like SSH keys and stuff. Like you're the only person, you have that key, and you just log in. Like secure way.
We kind of need to add that, don't we? So that attendee gets a unique login.
Exactly.
That'd be nice. But then anyone could register at that point anyway. But
and
sorry, I tried to like minimize it, and then I think it's closed it and exited the whole room. Okay, so I think we're ready.
give me a moment. We are having some technical hiccups in terms of showing Zoom at the moment on the feed. We try switching that out, which is not ideal. Just as we're trying to go into the next thing, so window capture, do that. Pick Zoom. No, it's not playing ball at all in terms of Zoom at the minute. So we might have to stop the YouTube link with it not working as well as it should be.
If you share your whole screen, would it not work?
It doesn't want to do that either at the moment. Let me try. Well, let me try. Since changing the driver, it thought it was using.
Try doing it straight from Zoom now to create a whole new feed, and then you can paste the link in the original YouTube to the new one if you wanted to, and then people can at least follow across to the next one if that works. But it didn't work earlier, but you can try it.
Well, this is the thing. It's now okay. This is
a good backup for if screen record doesn't work. It's like to get a capture card, and then your capture card feeds back into your computer. It's like a loop.
But right now, that doesn't help me.
If only there was like a custom-made video conferencing platform, Ollie. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It'd be if only somebody did something that worked.
Yeah. I don't know. It'd be awesome if that happened.
Yeah. Someone should really invent one of them.
They should. Yeah, there's like some way for a presenter to be able to present from a studio environment and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be really, really useful. Maybe like a remote clicker or something.
Yeah, can you organise that?
Yeah, might be able to do something.
So what we need now is Jonathan, because this is his bag. Right.
How many people are watching on YouTube?
22 currently.
Right. Well, that makes a difference then. If it was 0, then I'd say forget it. But
is it 22 other people?
No, I imagine like at least 17 of them. Is everybody in here right now?
Okay.
Not me. I've got that link open at the moment, but it could have been just counted because I opened it once. But
no, it changes.
Maybe I have it open like 20 times. It could be affecting it.
If it's this way, I can just open it a million times and have a million views. Change IP address.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
doesn't work like that.
No, is it a laptop with 2 GPUs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I thought was the problem. Sometimes it is it the Surface Book 2?
No.
Okay, some laptops would have 2 GPUs. I think OBS defaults to using the integrated when you want to use discrete, I believe.
I fixed it. It's okay, guys. We're okay.
Brilliant.
It is mostly guesswork, and it's hopefully working, but it is working.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so
Great.
let's give that a whirl. Don't touch anything, and it should be fine.
Don't forget to mute everyone.
It's gone again now. Hold on.
Yeah.
So I think I know what the issue is. I think so if I run it, but I don't let it go full screen for me, it's fine. But when it went full screen, like properly in Zoom a moment ago, it just died. So let's turn all of that off. And make sure that mine doesn't go full screen, I think, when Salman takes over and starts sharing stuff. But it should be fine. You've got the Quantum Leap intro now, Pete.
play some elevator music. If anybody would be
No, it should be
down
fine.
with
So, Salman, do you want to try start sharing your thing, and then we'll go from there.
I'll have the shop.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Let's see. So I'm just gonna share my whole screen. Okay.
This is how you can tell that it is, in fact, a tech meetup. It is all 99% guesswork.
It could be worse, Liam. The projector could stop projecting for about
The
20
projector
minutes.
could stop projecting. We
Awesome.
escape that. And give me just a moment, because what seems to happen is it changes stuff to do with the window, and then it doesn't enjoy any of that stuff at all. There we go. That will work for now. It's not showing the full your presentation full screen, but it is working.
Okay.
It's full screen for us though. Don't worry. In Zoom, it's still full screen, so that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Well,
it works.
Cool. I guess so. Are we good to go?
Yeah, let's go for it. Quick before it falls over.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Salman Chishti, or Salman MKC. I'm a Microsoft student partner, and so is Hani over here. I'm currently still at the University of Nottingham studying computer science and artificial intelligence, and for my industrial placement here, I'm going to be at Microsoft as a cloud solution architect intern. And yeah, so I'm really passionate about doing community work and working with others to do these events online. We do quite a lot of these. So yeah, today's talk is going to be with Hani, and we're going to be doing it on both DevOps and security. So I'm going to let Hani introduce himself as well. So hi, Hani.
Hello everyone. I was muted in 2 different applications, from the hardware side and the software, that I couldn't figure it out. My name is Hani. I'm same as Salman, both University of Nottingham students. On my presentation, I have my whole things about me. I will talk about it, but yeah, I'm super happy to be here, and hopefully we can deliver a good presentation.
Yeah. So normally in an in-person event, I guess we would ask people to put their hands up and tell us if they know what DevOps is. So if anyone, I guess, in the room here wants to answer quickly, we could do that. Does anyone from the audience want to give us a brief overview if you know?
I think most people are muted.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so okay, we'll go over what DevOps is. We're gonna basically build a simple .NET application, and we're going to show how we can use DevOps to implement that. That's from the DevOps side of things, and then Hani's gonna go over the security aspect as well. So yeah, so what is DevOps? What does Azure DevOps provide, and how you can set up your own account and start continuous integration and deployment and all of that within a few minutes. So what exactly is DevOps? DevOps is the union of people, process, and products to enable continuous delivery of value to our customers. So immediately we know that it's customer focused. So they want to make sure that customers are the central aspect of the process. So if any of you know what any of these words mean, these all are part of DevOps. They might seem like software group projects sort of things, like just teamwork in general, the process. Working as a professional in the industry, you need to like know these terms. These all fit into DevOps, and DevOps is a very broad term, so it applies all of these aspects. But it's about how do you actually use these and interact as a team. So we're gonna go into how you can actually make this more efficient. And so yeah, it's gonna be how can you go from your code straight to the web, and we can do that simply using Azure DevOps. And it's going to be a very enjoyable experience. Hani, do you want to give us an example of how we could like use DevOps in like a group environment?
Yeah. Traditionally, we used to design software. We used to develop softwares, and then we used to have a lot of ugly scripts to compile it, push it, test it, and do everything else. And from a company to another company, or from a developer to another developer, used to run all this script to make sure the software is compiling and push it to production. But with Microsoft Azure these days, with just 2 clicks, you can design the whole pipeline by yourself, and then you can control your software from the development side to publish it to the cloud and give it to customer. So make it much simpler. And Salman will show you in few steps that how you can design your own pipeline.
Yeah, so immediately we're just gonna go straight into a demo. Hopefully all the demos work today. So there's different ways we could do this. Because we don't have that much time, I'm probably just gonna show you one I've already made, so you know how I'll show you a bit of the steps and then fast forward, because it takes a bit of time to actually do the process. So we're gonna create a Blazor app. So if none of you know what, or like if you don't know what a Blazor app is basically using Razor pages, or basically using HTML and C# to make websites, and it's using ASP.NET Core. Latest support, I guess you can use is ASP.NET Core 3.1, but that's optional. I guess you can use 3.0 as well. So we're going to create a quick Blazor app. There was a recent talk, I believe, in .NET Knots, I believe, and they did Blazor as well by Lawrence Bennington. So this is a good, like, I guess, segue into this. So here's our .NET Core app. And we have a bunch of pages. We have our program, and this is going to be our index page. So index page basically is just a simple application, and it's running on IIS Express. So this is just going to be deploying this straight to your local environment. It's going to be running off localhost. Hopefully when it runs, you can see that. As you can see, so there. I should probably plug in my battery, but it's okay. Okay, so this is just the default standard application which you get when you start a Blazor app. But as you can see, all we're doing is we're making an application and we're deploying it to our local host. This isn't on the web. This isn't anywhere online. We don't have a repository set up. It's literally just a localhost application. Like, there's nothing we can do. Okay, so how do we go from here to publishing it on the cloud and doing that as seamless as possible? So luckily, with there's different ways you can do this. So we can go into dev.azure.com, and you can create a whole a DevOps environment. So what you do is you can go create your organization. You can create a project. So right here, I've actually set up a project before, because the whole build pipeline takes a bit of time. And what you can do is you can manage your whole team. You can set up build pipelines. You can connect to set up test plans, artifacts, all of these things within here. So if you're used to using GitHub, this is basically similar to that. But you have a you on a board like that, you can assign someone a task here, and that can be connected with GitHub, and then you can see all of
Have we lost Salman?
It would appear so.
He's been eaten by the internet. It was breaking up a long time before that as well. That 56K modem is using.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Still showing as an attendee.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I don't mind that, but it will be continuing the Azure DevOps slides. It won't be his slides. Okay. Do you want me to share my screen? What would you like me to do? Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. Because I'm not doing the same slides. I'm doing it, different topics. I'm continuing with the security side of it, which is.
Hello. Sorry.
There we go.
Perfect.
There we go.
Yay!
Sorry, my internet is very unreliable today. It's been like that for the past few days.
Perfect
I'm not sure
timing.
why.
It's not like you want to do a talk on the internet at all or anything.
Yeah, I figured out a workaround. But yeah, that should I just continue?
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, I was on my build pipelines and like nothing was loading, and then like Zoom disconnected, and then I was like, wait, where's my pipelines? But because of Zoom, I was like, okay, it must be my internet, because it loads. It's like, I think it's never mind. But I think lots of it is like cached, so it shows the page, but nothing would load. But yeah, so what I've set up before. Wait, where did I cut out at?
I think you were roughly you hadn't gone into this picture yet. We were on the team project homepage.
Yeah, and you're saying how it's like GitHub.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. So so it's like GitHub. You can basically set up your repository. You can have more though, because you can have boards, you can have test plans, pipelines, artifacts, all of that. So for example, here you can like have like different tasks you can assign to your team members, and then you can track these with the GitHub. So if you link your GitHub, you can like track and monitor your team's pull and commit requests. So yeah, here what I've set up is a repository already. So this repository you can use the same as Git. So for example, you can like take the Git link and then do Git clone. You could like open it straight in one of these IDEs. So it's all very nice and user friendly. But the really awesome thing is basically when it comes to pipelines. So a pipeline is basically a process which runs on like a trigger. For example, you could have a pipeline for when you push to your master branch. So that could be like, say, or that could be a production branch or production build, for example. Or you could have a test branch and that could be your test build. But what you want to do is whenever you build this, you want to like push it straight to these different branches and modify, like not have to do any of this like with, any external process. If you're using Azure, this is very nicely tied into the whole idea, because you can publish straight to Azure web apps, and that's what we're going to do. So here we're going to have our pipeline, and this pipeline you can actually go into, click here, we click edit. So our pipeline, what we have is whenever we're pushing, we're basically so we have a master, we're triggering based off the master branch. So this pipeline runs whenever you have a master branch. We have a pull, so our VMs running on Windows latest. This could be like, for example, VS 2019. Your build platform, this is like similar to what you see in Visual Studio over here. So yeah, your new gets, you need to have your build. You can run tests as well. And then finally, I published a build artifact, and this build artifact gets published to where you use this in your release. So once this build pipeline is done, it then can trigger a release pipeline. when you look into how the release pipeline works, basically, I'll show you here when it loads. Hopefully I haven't lost internet again. Okay, so basically that artifact which I mentioned, after the artifact's generated, you can have a stage in which this stage will then publish your app to your Azure app. So if you've never used an Azure web app before, I'll briefly show you what that is. So if you log into it, oops, account. Okay, it doesn't matter. Any account works, so go to web app services. There you go. Okay, let me switch account. So I've got a bunch of web apps set up, and the one I've actually linked this to is the React portfolio. I know it's not a React application, but I've just linked it to that because it's just happens to be that way. So what you can do, I've got a link to React app. Let me just search React portfolio. So this is just a simple app service which is running on Azure. And I've got everything showing. Okay, so here you can basically go to see your web app is just a generic web app. And what we're doing is we're publishing our web application to here. So as soon as we've triggered our build pipeline, which is this is triggered off master, whenever we push the master, this all does it. This all runs. So I can show you what actually happens inside of here as well. So if we go to job, you can see this is everything which is happening, which I showed in the YAML file, so the YML file. So this is all running. This is the sort of thing you can see in command line, all of these things. So publish artifact, this is separate. I guess if you're publishing to Azure, you would use this. So all of these things, if there's ever an error, then it will show here. If there's an error in your code, it will fill in the VS build pod. Okay, so after that all finishes, that triggers the release pipeline. And in our release pipeline, you can see what happens. So it built twice here. It initializes the job. And there's a bunch of things you don't need to know. Downloads the artifact. So the artifact which we published, that gets downloaded and that's drop. And then it deploys to the app service. So once this is done, you can actually go to your website. So we click the link, and that's basically the website we had before, but instead we've got it published on an actual website so anyone can go to this link. So that's cool. We basically published a website, but how does this link at, like, what's the point? What's the point of doing this when you can just simply use Azure to publish it in the first place? So the cool part now is that, say, for example, if I want to make a change, so let's go to our index page and let's do hello DevOps nuts. Let us know some feedback for the next talk. So we can save that. And instead of just running it on the localhost, what we could do, we can just make a change. We can make a commit. So kind of sync this. And let's push it. So if you're a bit confused by what this is basically get built into Visual Studio. Okay, so we've now pushed. This is the same thing as doing git add, git commit, git push. So now if we go into our repos, we can actually see our commits. So our commit is here. So when you see our commit, it also has a status. So our status is linked to our pipeline. So we click this. we can go into a pipeline and we can see our pipeline is now running. So this was triggered by me, and it was started based off the master branch. Okay, we can see all the process running again. It's got a notification saying my internet is unstable. Hopefully it's on.
You're still here. You went a little bit robotic for a few seconds, but you're definitely still here. Or have I now spoken too soon?
I think you have. Oh no. Salman.
Is he tethering Nokia 3310?
Okay, Hani. Do you want to pick up from here? And then if Salman's able to rejoin, then we can circle back around to this part, if that's okay.
Yeah, but because this my topic is completely different topic, so I'm going to start in my security part of it. We won't go back to this stage, so it's not something that is continuing each other.
Okay.
That's the thing. So let's give you a few minutes to see if he's coming back. If not, I will start my presentation.
Yeah, no problem.
Brilliant. Thank you.
So, guys, I can only kind of apologise because it seems like we've got a couple of tech issues at the moment in terms of there's also some issues with audio coming through on the video now.
Over on YouTube, you mean?
Yeah, on YouTube. Which shouldn't be happening, really. Let's see. What else we've got in terms of that? But they should be getting sound again.
Not that they'll know, because you will stop speaking.
Well, also,
That's a
yes.
very good point.
We should be working again now. So, yeah, we've had a couple of technical issues this evening, guys. But let's crack on. Now, when we tested all this the other day, not a problem. Pete and I had a complete run through of everything. Everything went so swimmingly, and clearly, the internet has decided to tell me to bollocks.
Yeah, I don't think I think it's the fact that A, you're not using the Zoom to YouTube part that and B, I don't think Salman's internet is particularly good. So, is he waiting to be let back in again now? Because he's gone. Just waiting to be let back in.
He didn't text me, so I think no.
Probably crying.
Give it a minute and stuff. Hopefully he will be back, but. I have a talk. I talk with him all the time over the internet, and his internet is perfect every day. And just surprisingly today, today were horrible. All pipelines were breaking, and all my YAML files were screaming everywhere. So yeah, today is not a good day for technology, but hopefully he will be back. If not, we will take it from here. And also, I give enough resources for if people want to catch up with all the tutorials that he was talking about.
Yeah.
All of them on Microsoft Learn. I'm not advertising for Microsoft. I'm just saying that they have amazing resources. We use that to educate ourselves. We do use that for doing workshop and everything else. So everything that he said is on a page I will share in a second. He's back. He's back. Perfect. Great.
Admitted.
Cool. Okay.
How are you that fast? Fair play.
I've got the participants thing open and it just pops straight up at the top.
Yeah. And also he's a gamer, so gamers are fast.
I am not a gamer and I am not fast. There we go.
Cool. Okay.
Hi, sorry.
Hello.
My internet went off again.
Well, let's crack on. Not a problem. It happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'll share my screen again.
It's like nothing happened.
Normally
nothing happened. Let's do this.
Never happens. like we do events so often, and there's never like internet's never really a problem.
I was saying the same thing as well. He's doing event all the time, never crash, never even a second. But today, just unlucky day. Keep going. Good luck.
Sorry. Okay. I think it's more of a. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's. Okay, never mind. Could be an actual hardware issue, but let's see. Okay. So did I cut out here?
Yes. Yeah, you did.
Okay. So this all triggered from just doing just by running our, doing a commit to our repository, and doing so going through here. If there's ever an error in our code, it will show up here, and you can go to the line, and you can get like this cool link thing. So if you click here, you can then share this link, and then you can like go to this link, and anyone who has access to this can go ahead and see that exact same line. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat, and it speeds up a lot of the debugging process. So yeah, luckily, whilst I disconnected, it actually pushed everything and deployed it. So the release the release pipeline line, and the change we made should now be visible. So if we go to our website and we refresh it, hopefully, wait, okay, I thought I lost internet. Okay, so yeah, there's our change. Oh, okay, I've got the notification. Is my internet, am I gone?
You are. You're still there.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I keep getting Zoom notifications which says my internet's unstable. Okay, so yeah, here our change which we made to our actual local code and that we pushed to the repository has showed up on our website. So that's pretty much how the pipeline works. There's more in here as well. So if you, for example, in a team and you want to show someone how to use test plans, and they're new to your team and they don't know how, you just put it in here. You have a bunch of options. You've got an overview, and your overview can actually show your repository details. You can like link one from here, for example. I don't have a README in this file since it's just a new one, but you can create one, and then that will show up here. So yeah, you can look into details about how, if your builds fail, let's actually go into make an error in our code. So let's go into our program, and let's make a silly error, like delete this. Okay, so this is clearly an error. I'm gonna push this. Failed code. Whoopsie. I'm gonna break my whole code. So this is gonna push. What I do want to actually mention as well is that in your release pipeline, this is where you can configure your release pipeline to run on different branches. So currently, this release pipeline is running off any build. But say, for example, if we want to run different pipelines of different branches, what you can do is you can have a build branch filter. So a build branch filter, you can choose, for example, master as your branch that you want to build off. You could also say, for example, you have another branch, use that. So in theory, if you think about this, you can have different pipelines, and then each pipeline can have different releases. And those can be of different branches. So this is a really quick and easy way to set up CI/CD without having to actually use any like other tools, and it's all built in with Azure. Yeah, I think that should be about it when it comes to theory. So here we can see in pipelines it has failed. So if we go into here, we can go into our failed code, and then we can see, oh look, this is where our error was. So as mentioned before, if it's like an error with your code, it will come up in VS Build. So here it's talking, this is just the sort of like code errors you would get just generically if you just did this on your local computer. You can see, okay, your errors on line 24. And you can, you see errors here, and you can just basically fix that and then go and run a different build. But you can see how this is really nice, because you could say put this on a development branch and it won't affect your master branch or your production branch. And like you can have a different website, you can be publishing to a different website on Azure. And yeah, I can't really see the top. Yeah, here you go. You could say have a different app service. So yeah, app services are pretty fast and easy to set up. There's also other ways you can publish to Azure without having to go into here. So for example, this is a bot which is using an app service. You can do many different things. I was thinking of going to show you how you can use Azure functions and linking that with Cosmos DB, but I don't think I have time today since there's been a lot of like technical issues. But basically what happens here is you have a function, which I've named tvn function. I've done this quite a lot. So I've done this, I've tested this like using some person from, I think his name's Theo from Microsoft. He did this whole blog on how to use Cosmos DB and Azure functions. And basically when you run a function, when you deploy a function to Azure, functions, by the way, Azure functions, they're serverless. So when they only run when they're being used. So it's a really cheap, I guess, not cheap, but comparatively, it only charges you for the time it runs. And it doesn't matter like how long it's been deployed for, it just matters how long it runs for. So basically this, when you run your function or when you make a change to your database, the function will trigger and it can like do updates for you. And yeah, that's something I really wanted to show, and especially because Cosmos DB just released a new free tier. So if you want to check that out, look up Cosmos DB and you should be able to find it. But yeah, I think that's it from me for now, because concerned about time. But yeah, sorry about all the technical difficulties. My internet's been a bit of a pain. But yeah, I hope that you all learned something. I'm probably just gonna bring up or ask if there's any questions. I think someone was monitoring this.
Yeah. So oh
yeah.
Yeah, so I've been looking out for some questions, and I think there's one from Ian Miller about your build policy or lack thereof.
Build policy?
Yeah. Do you have a build policy?
So this is a very, very quick, project just to show how you can go from pipelines to releases. This obviously isn't how I would do this normally. If I definitely it can be a lot better, but this is just the pure demonstration of how you go from code from just creating a code from a standard project, putting that onto Azure DevOps, and then running that pipeline to publish to Azure. Yeah.
Okie dokie. I don't think we have any more questions.
Cool. Big round of applause as best you can for Salman, and then we'll pick up with Hani for security.
Woo!
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Brilliant.
In the face of adversity of technology, we managed to get through. Well done, guys.
Oops, I just opened Teams. Oops.
So pass the floor over to yourself, Hani.
Yeah, it would be great if you can stop the sharing the screen so I can move to share. Yeah, right. Screen 2. Share. I think everyone can see my screen now. Yes, confirm. Perfect. Just want to thank everyone just keeping with us. We had a lot of technical issues, but hopefully this one will be a little bit quick, and also we will talk about the security side of it. This is a continuing what Salman was talking about continuous integration, CI/CD, how you're going to push your application from local host to the cloud and trying to automate everything else. These things are brilliant, and I love them. Having been working DevOps, or I'm not even DevOps expert, I'm sure there's a lot of people here are much better, are expert in this field and work many years. But I want to approach it from different way, because from my experience working in security, I want to show you that why security people really care about DevOps these days, and why we think that DevOps security is one of the things that people need to practice these days, especially when it comes to complex programs and application. I can't change my slides. Perfect. About me, I briefly introduced myself. Hani from here, University of Nottingham. We're both students here, but previously I worked in the industry for many years, and I started doing basic of programming, what operating system is. And at age of 16, I got 7 international qualification from Cisco, Microsoft, CompTIA, and I was working in data center, which was quite a big achievement. My professor was teaching me about security and networking. He invited me to work in data center to be Active Directory and group policy architect. So I was working in industry for many years, and then I moved to here London, work with Metropolitan Police in some forensic projects, and done a little bit of cybersecurity consultant for a couple of companies. You can just find me on LinkedIn. And recently I become a Microsoft student partner, doing some workshop for MSP programs. And hopefully soon I will start teaching more about security on my YouTube channel, which is, haven't advertised it yet, but you will see it on my Twitter and my LinkedIn. There is a lot of reason for why security need to be embedded in DevOps practices. I'm sure there's more than 5, but I just want to focus on these 5 because I feel this is really important for everyone who work in the industry as a developer, as a DevOps, sysadmin, or anyone else, have a good understanding, because this will be applied to anything else. The first things I want to cover is the education. When we are hiring a developer, or we're working with the developers, most of the developers have lack of understanding of the security basic security testing. So lack of experience is a #1 security problem. People who worked in industry, senior developers, they have a good understanding that every time you building something, security should be a core of your design, not something that you will add later. So security is not a feature. This is something that I want to make it clear for everyone. Security is not something that, well, we have a software now, it works very well, but it's not secure. So let's add some complex layer to it to make it more secure. That makes it more vulnerable. If you see all this application written in really old programming language and using old infrastructure, if they want to add anything secure to it, it makes it more complex. And when it comes to troubleshooting or fixing a software, it becomes a nightmare. So having this educating your developers to have a basic of security testing, it helps a lot of companies to design something at least reliable. And is a lot to ask, but it's all about mindset. So when it comes to implementing security features in your software, is the way that you need to think like a hacker to make it more secure. Think about, if you're not a user, if you are someone else outside trying to break to your software, what other ways you can get to your software? Think about differently. Don't think as a program and saying this function will do that. Yes, however, this function might make a problem with another function. Think about differently. So it's about practicing your mindset and educating your developer to think differently. Visibility is another thing that most of companies trying to avoid, and companies are not always aware of all the potential security threats until they are exploited. Lots of companies, they skip all the security testing because they said, well, we don't have time and budget to keep it. We need to release it now. But because they didn't do any security testing, someone come with just a few tools on a Colin Linux or any other operating system, they try to test it against common security vulnerabilities. And you see over the news that there's everything exposed, people, information is stolen. Well, we can kind of avoid that. So having visibility, having understanding that what kind of vulnerabilities is available, and what kind of vulnerabilities can be detected by automated tools, and how we can fix them as really, really good practice. And if you don't test it with the tools that are available for free, open source, hackers will use them against you. So most of the times people trying to avoid and saying that we will try to test it, but we will try to test it later on. Maybe later on is too late. So test it as soon as possible. Velocity, that's one of the words that I was trying to figure out, is that velocity a good word for that, but I will explain in detail. So DevOps can help speed up, and DevOps security can speed up your release cycle. So most of people see it as something that security has been a blocker and takes longer time to release your software. So when it comes to releasing a big software, they think that security makes it takes longer to release. So if you're under pressure of your manager or different departments saying that you need to release it today, having this security implementation on your pipeline that tested from the first line of the code to until you push it to the production, it will save a lot of time and resources. So instead of just testing at the end, you testing it line by line, you testing every single time you push it to the cloud. Automation, I'm always encouraging everyone when I'm teaching I'm doing different workshops everywhere, and saying that if you can make it automated is better. And people just tell me that, well, we can do it, it's just 2 command lines. I'm always saying, make sure you always automate the boring stuff. Don't try to do the things that command line or bash script or any scripting language can do that. So focus on the other things. Keep your energy and resources for the things that takes much, much longer. So automation, CI/CD, we have that, but we have a lot of security testing frameworks available. You can just use them all for free and always get updated. I always try to automate something that's super boring, but you can just automate. So CI/CD is perfect, but there's a lot of other tools available. Even the things you do as a software developer that you always checking against some of the things, always make sure you automate it so you don't forget anything. You might just forget one of them, and that one can cause issue later on. The last thing is a selling point. If you see people who work in marketing, I worked in HR and marketing for a couple of months, and there was a really good way that they were selling a product, saying that we care about your data, we care about your customers' data. This is secure. This is this and this. It's really good, especially if you're not working IT department, working different department. It's quite a good selling point to saying that it doesn't matter if you're selling a service or product. Your customers need to have confidence that data is safe, especially these days that everything's connected to the internet. This is the best way to give confidence to your customers, saying that we're designing something and we're designing it really secure. So it's quite a selling point. I'm sure that people in marketing can just study it better than me. And so asking about frameworks, there's a lot of frameworks available. I'm not going to go through all of them. And there's a more famous one, OWASP Top 10. They already released the new one. I think is they're testing it now. But so what they do is that there's a common vulnerabilities that are on the application, like cross-sub scripting, SQL injection, and everything else. So those are easy to find. There's all those are more complicated. There's another company Sans they release something called Top 25. There are more details than OWASP Top 10, and they are covering more vulnerabilities. So having this knowledge giving to your developer, make sure that your developer understand at least the common security. It will help you and save a lot of energy and a lot of time and a lot of money. There's other two that that are available. There's an analyzer, there's a Sonar Cloud that we are using today. Some of them, I'm not saying that all of them is going to make it easy. Some of them are adding more complexity to your infrastructure. But we need to make sure that what developers are comfortable to use. For this demonstration, I'm going to use the last one called Sonar Cloud. It's quite easy. It's really easy to use and integrated with Microsoft Azure. And so yeah, there's all the tools. There's the open source. Let me see if I can bring my screen over here. I'm always scared to move my screen. Yeah, perfect. Great. So there's a lot of tools here. So there's a one I was saying about OS. If you're working in a mixed environment, if you're looking for having these tools as a Docker container, if you go to a Docker Hub and search for it, there is a lot of them available. So there's the one I use in a couple of projects. It works very well, but it's quite headache to configure it. But when you're comfortable to using this Docker container, using this framework, it works very well. And there's another one that I showed you from Science, which is top 25. They have a lot of vulnerabilities. You can just click on any vulnerabilities. For example, null pointer, this is the one that I was telling. They have full details here, and if you search more, if they have example as well, example 2, so you can go through it in different program language, how you can avoid null pointer vulnerabilities. Sonar Cloud, this is the one that we use today. It's quite easy. It has a amazing graphic interface, but and also it's a little bit headache to configure, but when it's working, it works perfectly. And the one that I was saying, the analyzer, is a GitHub project. So if you are working with the .NET, so this is really, I think this is integrated with Visual Studio. Yeah, Microsoft Visual Studio. So you can have it as a plugin and as anything else. And yeah, it works very well, especially if you're working with a C# or .NET or any .NET technology. It works very well. So let's go. I think I'm running out of time, but I'm trying to show you that that's one of the slides that I wanted to focus on. People doing a lot of security, and they don't see security as a job, or people say it that, well, our developers do the security testing. I think this is enough. In my perspective, the way I work with developers in the last few years, I don't think this is enough, and that's why I have these slides added. Last few days I added this one because I wanted to talk about it. Is that automated testing is enough to prevent data breaches. There's a lot of ugly vulnerabilities that are happening every single day. Even the software that we trust them, like Windows, and Microsoft Teams, Zoom, any other software that we trust them and we just put all information there, there's always a chance of having zero-day vulnerabilities. Zero-day vulnerabilities are vulnerabilities now patched by the company and are all not tested by security, automated testing. So when you're doing automated testing on a pipeline, you not testing against this type of unknown vulnerabilities. So they will come up later on and they will, break all your software, this is something that we can't stop it. But at least we need to make sure we have a protocol, we can deal with that. And I'm sure there's a big companies that always have a team dealing with this type of issues. And there's a sentence that always, when I was working in networking, they're saying that no matter how secure your network is, it's only secure as the weakest link. So it doesn't really matter how secure software is, okay? If you're pushing an API that haven't been updated for ages, and this is the weakest point of your software, this will expose everything. This will break everything. So it doesn't really matter. You've done your security testing, everything. Your security testing will pick that. So it will check it for against API vulnerabilities. OWASP ZAP framework will always check against this type of vulnerabilities. If something is outdated, it would send you a message. But sometimes you have a really complex infrastructure. You have multiple layers of software. You have a really complex hybrid environment. There's a software somewhere on the server that just break everything. Even your secure software that you think that is always secure, you always break it. So make sure I have a good overview of what is available, what we are missing, which software we're not testing. So you might even say that this API works for now, but later on will break. So make sure I have a good understanding. This is a lot of framework designed to make sure that you have a security applied to everywhere, not just the software that is pulled to the production, not the one that user will see. There's always some domains names or some application that left over because they are stopped updating it, but that won't break the whole company. And black boxing, white boxing, hiring penetration testers, having security people, seeing it differently, that will change the game. It's not about just having security testing. Well, we have it in our pipeline. I think we are 100% secure. Having these people look at a different way and trying to write some customized tools to break your application. These people are really useful. Small companies can't afford penetration tester. Maybe they have one tester, maybe two testers. but those are people who see it differently, who trying to break it, who try to bring enough evidence saying that your security testing is perfect. He said that all pass, however, I managed to get your application. And think like a hacker. I always said that at the beginning of my presentation, that hackers always think a little bit different when it comes to actual vulnerability. When I'm reading all these write-ups about from security experts, they're always trying to approach it in different way, which is quite interesting. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're a developer or network admin or any things you do in industry, go read the write-ups by hackers, by our security researchers. Look how they're approaching the testing. They might just saying that yes, they have CI/CD, they have automated testing. Look at them how they write a script in a different language trying to break to the application. Have a good understanding that every time you're writing a code, have this in mind that yes, things might go wrong, and there was researcher that break it this way. Try to write your custom script and try to customize your pipeline. Having a default configuration, that's absolutely fine. But if you want more security, if you want more security layers to your pipeline, make sure you have your own written script and trying to think a little bit differently. So I won't make you more tired. I'm trying to go through the demo. I'm trying to show you something that's quite really quick, and then we can go for questions. So what I'm trying to do is that, let me see if I have it. Yes, I have it here. Perfect. Great. So I'm a big fan of VS Code. Just recently fallen in love because it works very well. Hopefully, let's see. Okay, so I have my badge here. So this is a project I pulled from a Microsoft website, and it's a repository actually. If I can just bring it here. Here we go. Bring it here. So it's actually a repository I recently forked. It is the vulnerable application written in C#, and I'm going to test this. I'm going to use this as my a target to test it against vulnerabilities. So what I'm trying to do, I already forked it here. So I have it here, yeah. And then it has a different branches. So if I say git branches, so different branches, there is a master and the security scan. So on the security scan, there's a couple of vulnerabilities already exist there. And what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to compile it from the command line. I'm trying to run all this unit testing and then collect all the unit testing result and push it to the framework that we are using today. So what we're going to use now, we're going to use Microsoft Azure. So Salman, he's much better than me when it comes to DevOps and stuff. So he helped me to set up my Azure DevOps. So this is a pipeline. I'm using a template. So let me see if I have a template. So instead of configuring everything by myself, I use this template. It said name for vulnerabilities. So if I can sign in, I will show you what I will send a link later on to the group chat and showing that how you can access all this material and practice by yourself. So you can just put a project name and set your organization and then choose a template, this is a template we're using, a scan code for vulnerabilities in Azure pipeline. Fork it, create a project. I already done that, so it would take you to this page. This page, basically, everything is configured for you to test it against vulnerabilities. So what we're trying to do is trying to connect it to other frameworks like OWASP or Sonar Cloud and trying to test it against vulnerabilities to see how we can generate this reporting and how we can use this reporting later on. So I'll make it briefly. Salman explained how this pipeline works. I have a pipeline here, and yes, I run it. And what is in my pipeline is if I go to edit, it's basically a YAML file that it will pull everything, it will install the packages, and I'm testing it on Ubuntu 16. It will install the Node package management and everything else. So it will do all the configuration for me, and this is something that comes with a template. And then at the same time, I need to set up some variables. So this YAML file is asking for some information from and the things that's connected to my Sonar. Let me see it. If I see it here, it will be great. Yeah, let me bring this one because that one is the actual thing. So today we're gonna use this one, this framework called Sonar Cloud. So what they actually do is that they connect to your Azure pipeline, and also they sync with your GitHub account. and then you pull the repository here, and then you generate it. There's two ways to do it. There's a one way they call manual way, which is you do all the unit testing. It will give you a file, and then you push the file to the framework, and it will visualize it, and it give you all information about what type of bugs are available and how you're going to fix them. And there's another one that that is with the CI/CD. So every time you push into the cloud, your YAML file, which is this file, here we go, which is this file, it will pull everything, it will push it to this Sonar cloud, and everything will be set up for you. So everything will happen automatically. So what I'm trying to do is trying to push it manually, because there are already pipeline set up. So I can just run the pipeline here and just say security testing, run it for me. Perfect. It's same as before. So Salman explained that how this pipeline works. It will pull everything. It will create a virtual machine, Ubuntu. It will install the packages. It will pull everything. And this one is already connected to my repository, the repository I was talking about. So you pull everything, and it will run it, and it will push it to the Sonar. But let me show you how it looks like when it comes to a report. So this is everything is connected now. Everything's connected. I have my own pipeline. I have my own code. When I push it to the my repository, it will generate a report like this, okay, that I can see in details what kind of vulnerabilities are available, what kind of vulnerabilities are detected by this software, and how we can fix them. So as you see, there's 4 vulnerabilities, 2 bugs, and code smells, which means that it doesn't like it, or it should be better to do it in different way. So as you see here, there's a half of it says 000, and there's one said 247 and stuff. So every time you run it, it will check the vulnerability, and it will ignore any other vulnerability I would detect before. So this is the first time I run that here. So I run it here, I had 2 vulnerability, 2 bugs, 4 vulnerabilities, 2 bugs, and other things. And then I run it again. It said, well, you didn't change anything, okay? And so if you're changing something, trying to fix some bugs, and then creating a new bug, it will report it here. That's one of the things I always say to developers, saying that every time you're trying to fix a vulnerability, don't open a new vulnerability. Test it again, test it again, test it again. So if you fixed it, run it again, here it will show you. If it's still 0 and you fix all this vulnerability, then you can generate a report and taking to your manager saying that, well, I fixed everything. That's the whole evidence. So let's see the vulnerabilities and what vulnerabilities are available. So it's really good. The way that they report it is that they give you the vulnerability. They say if it's minor or major, if it's a vulnerability, or if it's a bug or stuff. So it might just detect it in a wrong way, and then you will like, well, I don't think this is a vulnerability. I think this is more about a bug. And then you can change it here. And another things I really like about this framework, that it will tell you what is the vulnerabilities all about. So here it will tell you that this vulnerability, that this is a description, and it give you example, and it's kind of telling you that if you want to see more, go click on the link, and you get more information. So this is something that I was talking about my beginning of my presentation, education, having this information for your developers, understanding the vulnerabilities, study it, and try and give them a couple of code example, trying to go and fix it. This will help juniors, seniors, everyone. Even I'm seeing a lot of people who work in this for 15 years now. When it comes to even really simple vulnerabilities, they still go to Steam documentation. That's a good practice. So having this information somewhere for your developers, go see that and trying to read through it, that's brilliant. So yeah, so there's a lot of vulnerabilities here, and then you can just say code smell is something that doesn't look right, it's removing unnecessary using, and if you click on it, it would take you to your code and you tell you which line is where they think it should be removed or is unused, everything else. So it will give you more details, and it will show you here more details that what's in the code and how you can fix it. So setting up this using the Sonar Cloud is quite simple. Is just API keys and stuff. Instead of repeating the whole things over and over again and telling you how to set up everything, Microsoft done an amazing article on that. So I'm trying to go to so if I go to browse, so Microsoft Learn is doing fantastic. They're teaching everything that's available, like all the basic and stuff. So having these resources for your developers, senior, junior, doesn't really matter, giving this information that they can access to and try and practice best practices for security is if you go to DevOps engineering and just scroll down, there's a lot of things. So then today I was talking about the scanning your code for vulnerabilities in Azure pipeline. They have a step-by-step a set of exercises, and then so yeah, I was actually going through this, but I wanted to show you that how it look like when I finish when I finish testing the code. Yeah, I hope I convinced everyone that security is something that they should do every single day of their life, because I believe that this makes it more interesting, especially when it comes to finding vulnerabilities in a code like that, and trying to. So we saw the both side. We saw the manual one, which is you can just go through it. So if I just try to go locally, I will show it in a second. It will be quite fast. Okay, so after I forked it, if I want to do that manually, after I forked it, let me zoom in a little bit. No, that's too zoom in. So if I want to manually do that, so we saw that how the CI/CD will push it automatically to our Sonar Cloud. But one of the things I want to say that if you're using Sonar Cloud, make sure you have. Okay, this is my keyboard stop working. Okay, cool. I'm back. So if you're using a Sonar Cloud for security testing, make sure you have Java 12. I don't know why. I tested with Java 14. It was giving me a lot of issues, but hopefully Java. So if you echo your Java home, which is basically showing that if it's Java installed on your PC, I download Java 12 JDK and just put it in a different folder, and now it works. So make sure that your variable called Java home is set up to Java 12. And after that, all you need to do is that you need to install a tool. I don't know if you use a tool called .NET tool. Okay, so all you need to do is that .NET tool install global .NET snarl scanner. And it's already installed, so I'm not going to install it again. And what you need to do, you need to set up some variable. The variables I was talking about in a pipeline are already done in pipeline, but when you're doing locally, you need to set it as a variable in your command line. So there's a 3-1, there's a Sonar project key, that's the project key, that's the Sonar organization, and then you have a login, which is the API key. Don't worry about this API key, I'm going to remove it later on, so people worrying about this is a security issue now. And then what you need to do is that you need to start your scanning. So here, and then that's how you're going to start the scanning. All these code and lines are available on Microsoft LAN. You just copy paste it and then changing some variables here. And when I do that, it will scan it and it will generate a file for me. So I said it's pre-processed success. And then what I need to do, because this is a .NET application, all I need to do is I need to build my application. So I'm building my application here, and hopefully it won't give me some errors. And after I build it, I do my unit testing, and then after unit testing, you give me a file, I will push it. I think it's 2 more commands, and then we're ready to see the result. It's giving me a lot of warning, but I'm not that picky with that at the moment, because this is a basically mostly, so it's a build is success. So this is mostly for practical purposes. And then I do my unit testing with this command. So the reason I'm copy pasting the command because I want to speed up the whole process, otherwise it would take a lot of time. So I do my .NET testing, my unit testing, and it will go through all of them and will generate a file for me. So this is all my unit testing, and as you see here is total test 5 of them passed. So that's how many seconds takes to run it, and it give me which module tested and better report here. And at the end, all I need to do is that I need to push it. I need to push it to my Sonar cloud. So I'm using this command, using the variable that I set before called Sonar login, which is basically is an API key to my application. And then when I press enter, I will take the file that was generated by this the unit testing and then push it to the framework. And this is how it need to be done when it comes to really small applications. So with small companies, when they're trying to, 1-2 developers trying to push it, report to the framework, and they don't have any CI/CD, this is the way they can do it. So there's no excuse people saying that, well, we don't have a pipeline, we can't automate everything. Well, there's a lot of tools available that you can generate your report and send it to this framework. So even you have no CI/CD, that's not a big deal. You still can test your application, and even a Docker container from OWASP can set up locally on your machine and test it against vulnerability and generate a report. And there's a lot of applications. So a scanner is finished, it's posted, and if I go here, if I go to my application, I will try to bring it here. So if I go to my Sonar cloud again, as you see that you can see everything is passed, and it will basically update this report. But because I didn't change anything, so it won't change that many things. So if you fix the report, it will show you the result here. So basically, that's it. That's the whole things that how you can do it manually. Just a couple of commands from Microsoft Line. I just copied it from there. If you want to do it with CI/CD, there's a YAML file configuration that you can take it, customize it based on your needs, and then trying to put it on your Azure DevOps. And hopefully, people are convinced a lot of people. Then security is one of the things that need to be implemented in any things that they sign. And I think I went over the time. Yes, I did. As always, but thank you for listening. Stay connected. Have my LinkedIn, Twitter, and my website. The moment, keep in touch if you having any question. Also, I'll be here on Zoom and Facebook as well. If you have any question, please drop me a message. And just thank you for listening.
Cheers, Hani.
Yay!
Yeah, thank you very much. That was brilliant.
Is there any questions? I'm just checking the Facebook thing.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah. How I'm gonna stop sharing? Okay, I can just do that. Yeah, if you have any questions, like people messaging me recently.
So there's a couple of things. There's one from Ian in terms of is Sonar Cloud better than Veracode?
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't hear because it would get disconnected for a second. Could you
hear me now?
You please? Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Could you please repeat the question?
So Ian was asking, is Sonar Cloud better than Veracode?
Well, all depend. I can't just saying that one of these is better than. It's all depend on your situation. Is people using different things, and it's all depend on your infrastructure of the way that you want to approach it. Okay. I don't see something is better than anything else. And the Sonar Cloud, the one I used today is one of them that I can easily demonstrate that how it look like. It's quite a few simple steps, but the other platforms, they're giving more features. They have a lot of features. The one that's already open source, the Sonar Cloud is quite pricey. I think the one that I use, it was a free version of that, but the other frameworks are mostly free, especially the OWASP one, if you want to use that. But yeah, it depends if your organization is happy to pay for that. I don't see any problem.
Excellent. So I think that who's it? So Colin has posted a couple of things for curious cybersecurity people to look into.
Okay.
So he's mentioned UK Cybersecurity Challenge and Kali Linux.
Yeah.
Have you got any other security things that people could look into if they wanted to explore?
So that's one of the questions that people always ask me, and things is that we want to get security, but how we can get there. I had a whole talk about that, but I'm going to cover that. Yes, there's a lot of things, depend which field you want to go with. It's depend if you're starting as a developer and trying to learn more about web security. There's a lot of webs. Let me bring my browser here so I can just show you some stuff. So
you need to share your screen again, Hani.
Okay, cool. There we go. Share to share. Am I in? Yes. Perfect.
Yes.
Great. So if you're starting as a junior or senior, it doesn't really matter because it's good resources. PorterSwig is one of them. So I'm always convincing everyone trying to go to this website. They have an amazing tool called Burp Suite. And then they have something called Academy, which is Web Security Academy. If you want to learn more about all this basic security, and they have a lab, they have a step-by-step, and they have a video tutorials, and all for free. You can access to it. There's another one that I always saying that if they want to go for the security, called a pen test lab. So if they are just focusing on web security, Pentest Lab offering even a student discount as well. They have all these labs for security testing and stuff, and always have videos. They have everything. They have everything. They're really amazing resource. And if you are more into CTF playing, like playing for Capture the Flag and stuff, Hack the Box, I misspelled it, and Hack the Box is one of them. I'm already currently here, and a lot of universities are a part of this Hack the Box. It's a vulnerable machine, and using different tool testing it, and so it depends which path you want to go. If you're more focused on network security, web security, there's a cloud security, there's other things. So I think drop me a message. I have a lot of resources. I can just share that later on, but there is a lot of resources available to learn more about security.
Excellent. Thank you. I think that's a very good starting point.
Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. Any more questions for Hani at all? If not, then I think we can probably move on to the draw. In which case I'm going to hand over to Misha because she's got all the things to do that.
I was definitely prepared for this. Give me 2 seconds. Right. Drum roll, please.
Okay.
My good people. And the winner is Neil Clayton.
Well done.
I don't think he's on here, but well done,
He
Neil.
is on YouTube though.
Yes, he is.
So Neil, if you follow us on Twitter, we can follow you back, and we'll send you the code over direct message. Next month we are meeting on. I did have this written down a second ago and haven't accidentally closed my notes. On April the 28th. And speaking next month is David McKay from Influx DB with his talk on what is cloud native, and joining him is Stuart Pocklington, but I don't have his talk name to hand. So thank you all very much for coming this evening to join us on Zoom, to joining with us on YouTube, through putting up with tech issues and Zoom bombing and all sorts. All in all, not a complete crisis. So thank you all very much for coming, and I hope to see you all again next time.
Yay!
Thank you for listening. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you for speaking.
Bye. Thank you very much, everybody. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.